This video will show you some hacks on how to best set up your room for mixed reality, how to get the best pass-through quality, tips on using your phone and computer, and must-know info on spatial data. The Quest 3 uses 3 forms of data to establish your environment, to effectively set up pass-through, and to set up your play space. It uses scene data, mesh data, and depth data. The headset uses the cameras to obtain this data, and one of the most important things to help it obtain it accurately is that it must have enough light, and enough light from all angles if possible. The more light you have with pass-through, the better the image quality with less grain, and you'll have a more accurate and realistic room setup. In low light, the headset will digitally increase the brightness, which can make your room look even more grainy. I have to get one thing straight here though, the recordings that you see of pass-through in this video do not accurately represent the pass-through that you'll see in the headset. And this will be the case for every YouTube video you watch on the Quest 3, whether it's a screen recording of the gameplay or a screen recording of the pass-through. The screen recording is always higher quality. But going back to lighting, how much light is enough when you're using pass-through mode? According to the Meta website, the pass-through looks best when the lighting levels are at least 30 lux at the headset end. So to test this, you can download a light meter app, just search for Lux Light Meter, and then hold your phone at head height, look around you, including up and down, and see what reading you get. And if you are falling below 30 in any given area, then try and increase the light as evenly as you can. And when you add additional lighting, rather than have the light aimed at you directly, it's much better to bounce the light, and this gives you a much softer and even lighting. But once the light levels are set correctly, there are other things that you need to do to get the most out of your mixed reality gaming. And the first thing is to clear any clutter in your room. Move shoes or boxes out of the way and clear stuff off of tables. The data that the headset collects isn't detailed enough to account for these smaller items. And when the virtual world and the real world come together, your virtual experience will be a lot cleaner in some games if you clear this clutter. It's also a good idea to map out the furniture and the walls in your room accurately. And you can do this by going to Settings, Physical Space, and Space Setup. Don't rush this section, make sure you map all the furniture in your room. If you miss something or you don't scan it correctly, you may find that a virtual object is placed on top of it, and you have this horrible setup that doesn't look realistic and it ruins the whole experience. I also found that with chairs around tables that it's best to either remove the chairs or increase the height of the table to include the height of the chair. So for this table, I'd set the height here at the top of the chair. The reason I would do this because in a game like Drop Dead Home Invasion, your real table is replaced with a virtual table. And then you get guns and ammo and supplies that appear on your virtual table. And when I first played this game, I hadn't accounted for the chairs, so every time I reached for something on the table, I'd smash my hands into the back of a chair. But to get the best mixed reality experience every time with these games, you must allow the apps and games access to this spatial data. All of the above info that we just talked about is then saved to make it quicker to set up your play space the next time you play. And with the latest update, Meta are using cloud computing capabilities. And this means that the headset will remember more of your play space setups, more of your garden boundaries, and more of the spatial data. So you can set up more easily and faster in different rooms. To take advantage with this, you have to opt in to share your CloudPoint data. So go to Settings, Privacy, and then to Device Permissions, and then select SharePoint Cloud Data. But of course this does bring with it issues over data sharing and privacy, so if you want to change these settings at any time, then you can go back into the menu and deselect them. You can also go to Privacy and then Permissions and go down to Spatial Data and see which apps that you have already agreed to share these permissions with. And you can choose to turn on or off data sharing for each app. But by leaving the spatial data sharing on, you also enable a really cool feature for multiplayer mixed reality. You may remember Meta talking about augments, and these are digital assets that appear within your physical space. And this could be the game arena itself, or things like pictures, vases, trophies, etc. And they are anchored within your physical play space. Enabling spatial data sharing syncs up these spatial anchors, so that when you play with another person in your play space, they will see the digital item in the exact same place that you see it, which will then enhance your overall VR experience. But the guardian boundary is also important to talk about with mixed reality, because when you're walking around your room and you get too close to the edge, it can pop up and can be really annoying. You can reduce the sensitivity of the boundary by going to Settings, Physical Space, and Boundary Sensitivity. Or you can turn it off altogether by going to Settings, System, Developer, enable custom settings, and then turn off the boundary. And obviously the Guardian boundary is there to keep you safe and to keep your room safe, so just be careful when you turn this off. For Drop Dead Home Invasion, it was essential to turn it off because your doors are replaced with virtual reinforced armoured doors. And there's a window within the door that you can look out of, and every time you looked out of it, the boundary would ping up. Another great tip here though for this game in particular is to leave your door open if you can. This way you can put your gun through the virtual window and shoot the zombies without smashing into your door. It's a nice little hack and it really does add something extra to the game. But of course the Quest 3 mixed reality isn't just for games, and you can use it for meetings or other work applications. I personally don't think that the pass-through is good enough yet to comfortably do this for too long a period. But it has been useful for making some of the videos on this channel because I can put the headset on and then switch it into pass-through mode, make a few notes, and then turn the pass-through mode off and go back into the virtual world. And all of that without taking the headset off. It's not perfectly sharp and there is a tiny latency as well, and the headset doesn't deal effectively with bright lights like the screen on your phone or your computer screen. So even though the experience isn't great, you can make it more comfortable with the following tips. If you're using your computer screen, then lower the brightness, and also on my screen I had to turn off the backlight as well, because otherwise I just couldn't see the screen at all and it was super bright white and washed out. Ideally you'd raise the overall brightness of the room evenly, but if you can't do that and you only have a couple of bright light sources, then the best thing is to dim them, because this will help with eye strain. And the same if you're on your phone, reduce the brightness of the screen to match the room and you'll be able to see your phone more easily. And this tip is quite important because Meta have recently removed in-headset phone notifications. So the only way to look at your phone with the headset on is to use the pass-through mode. But there are better options for working at your desk, and that's to use paid apps like Virtual Desktop or free apps like Immersed. And with these you can link your headset with your computer so you're not fully reliant on the pass-through cameras. And the image quality of the screen is much better. And you can also connect your Bluetooth keyboards, your mouse and your gamepad by going to Settings, Devices and Bluetooth and then select Pair. But of course mixed reality is only one aspect of the Quest 3, so you want to watch this video next to learn about more hidden features that you may have missed, and I'll see you over there.